What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak, and I got special guests with us this week. I got Gaetan Tchamba.
Hello.
And Tom Trubey.
Hey, how's it going? Greetings from Tampa.
Nice. Good to have you guys on. Let's get to it. A great week of football. Started out Thursday night, Ravens at Bengals. The Bengals improved to 2-0. The Bengals defeat the Ravens 34-23. Andy Dalton throws 4 first-half touchdowns, including 3 of them to star A.J. Green, and wrote to a 28-14 halftime lead. Dalton would finish the game throwing 24 of 42 for 265 yards and 4 touchdowns. Gaetan, what do you think of Dalton? Dalton's a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's cold, but he was on at least for the first half in this one.
Yeah, he's a streaky guy, I think. I actually had him in my fantasy, and I don't have a very strong team this year, and I was actually crossing my fingers that he would, produce. So he threw 4 touchdowns. It was a great thing, but I still lost, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. He's when he's on. He's on. I think a couple years ago they were on a good roll, and then they got to the playoffs. He got hurt, and that really affected the team's, performance. But
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out this week. Maybe I don't know if he'll be consistent again, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, we'll see what he brings to the table. See if he can be consistent. Tom, 3 of those first half touchdowns were to A.J. Green. What do you think of A.J. stepping it up?
Well, speaking of fantasy, A.J. is on 2 of my leagues. So
nice. So you were happy?
Out. Yeah, for real. No, I mean, A.J. Green is one of those guys that, I kind of think, and I always draw a relationship between Andy Dalton and A.J. Green, and Matt Stafford and Calvin Megatron when he was there. Same type of size and speed for those receivers. And Dalton and Stafford, are a lot alike where they've been here for a while. They've been with this team for so long. Dalton, props to him and their team have been able to pull out, some playoff appearances. But there's nothing you can do about A.J. Green, just like Megatron. I mean, they had him double, tripled up, and you're still going to get that. You're going to get that action with him every single time.
Yeah, when he comes out to play and he's got something to prove, he can tear it off. He can tear it up, and he definitely did that. Up 2 scores already by halftime. Flacco throws 32 for 55, 376 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 turnovers, 2 picks and a fumble. Gaetan, Flacco is a lot like Dalton. They're both, when they're on their game, they're on it, but sometimes they have turnover issues or inconsistency. Ravens out to a 1-1 start. Do you think Flacco just is who he is at this point? Or do you think he can have a good year and bring back... do you think Flacco can ever get back to the Super Bowl? Or do you...
I was just going to bring that up. That Super Bowl run they had was amazing. I mean, I think they took on New England along the way there. And I think Flacco is one of those quarterbacks who, for some reason, when he gets in the playoffs, he's just automatic, And I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever get there. I know he'll need a great defense.
Yeah.
Still early to tell. I don't know how great their run defense is. They still got Suggs there. But we'll see. I mean, I'd like to think so, but, something tells me that the rookie's going to come in at some point. I give Flacco maybe 6 or 7 weeks. If it's not clicking, then, if they're 2-5 by then, I think they'll have to throw in, what's the guy from Louisville?
Lamar Jackson. What do you think of him? Do you think he can be a star in this league?
Man, I think his speed gives him an advantage. Some read options. And I think he's a good thrower. I don't know how accurate he is. I think accuracy is probably his issue, but it just surprised me, number one, how the Ravens took him so early. Draft. So I mean, if they did,
they traded up to get him. Yeah.
Yeah, Harbaugh must have something in mind for him. So
Yeah.
And sometimes they kind of throw him in the game also to as a decoy. I don't know. I just think Flacco's kind of on the short leash. If he doesn't perform, they'll put him on the bench, but we'll see.
Absolutely, and we were expecting big things out of the Ravens defense, but giving up 34 on prime time to the Bengals is not ideal. Do you think the Ravens can turn it around, Tom?
Nope.
No.
I don't think so. No. I wish they could. To me, it's one of those things. They're just kind of set in mediocrity, and I think this season is going to be that way. Flacco has been a good quarterback, obviously. I don't think he's as good, obviously, as he has been. And really the only saving grace, I think, for their team right now is the fact that, between Crabtree and Brown, he's got really two great offensive weapons that they can play off of each other, down the field. But it's, I think it's going to be tough sledding for them this season.
Yeah, and they're in a tough division. AJ Green catches 5 for 69 and 3 touchdowns. John Brown for the Ravens catches 4 for 92 and a touchdown. And Bengals DT Geno Atkins records 2 sacks. What's up?
No, I agree with Tom.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely right. It'll be interesting to see how, if Lamar Jackson comes in and starts playing, how they're gonna maneuver their offense around with the speedster and John Brown and Crabtree as a possession receiver. So we'll see. Baltimore is interesting because they're one of those teams that somehow gets Tom Brady. At least makes it an interesting game. I don't think they have a good record against the Patriots, but it's always interesting because it's one of those teams I at least feel confident that they can take down New England. But when their defense is not good, I'm not sure.
They match up well. They seem to match up well with the top teams. They always give the Steelers hell. They give the Patriots a tough time. So they're always there in the mix, which is why I like to root for them and pick them when they get into the playoffs. But not much success ever since that one Super Bowl trip. Let's go.
And my hope is a lot on Suggs, Mosley, and Eric Weddle.
Weddle, yep.
But those are kind of like the last cornerstone guys, as far as I remember. But everybody else on the team is pretty new.
Yeah.
And this can always be kind of a skewed thing to the Bengals and the Ravens. The way that the Ravens look too. I don't know what the career matchup stats are between the two over the last maybe 5-10 seasons, but it seems like whenever the Bengals no matter how their season is going, it seems like whenever they play the Ravens, they always show up and they end up putting a good game together against them. So that could be
Yeah, absolutely. You get those division rivals together, and it doesn't matter what the records are, they always seem to hate each other and bring out some good, passionate football. Let's go to Sunday, where the Panthers went to Atlanta, and the Falcons bounced back from that poor showing against the Eagles. They take care of Carolina 31-24. Matt Ryan throws 23 of 28, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, as well as rushes for 2 touchdowns for the first time since his college days back in Boston College. Tom, weren't you just raving about Matt Ryan's awesome running skills?
Totally.
So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, 32 of 45, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Gaetan, were you surprised the Falcons bounced back and beat the Panthers, or did you expect this?
We were just talking about division games, and these teams, both these teams beat each other all the time. So yes and no. I mean, the thing about Matt Ryan sometimes is like when it comes down to the clutch and he has to go to Julio Jones, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I think he's 1-9 completions when it comes to like clutch plays down the stretch. I was a bit surprised because I know Panthers defense is a little solid this year. What shocked me is the fact that he ran for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I think he was so open, and I thought he's going to get decked. You know, kind of like how Cam got hit by one of the defenders by Atlanta earlier.
Yeah, DeMonte Casey laid him out.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he had a concussion, he'd be done, but surprised to see him in. I don't know what the rules are about that. So, but yeah, you know, I'm a bit surprised. I thought the Panthers were gonna win for sure.
Yeah. He was that Casey was ejected from the game for that hit, which is good. Atlanta, I mean, a good bounce back after week 1. They lost 2 of their best defenders. Keanu Neal, their starting safety, they lost him for the season, and linebacker Deion Jones is on injured reserve now. Hopes to return at some point. With Atlanta, the big problem has been Steve Sarkisian, their offensive coordinator, has been bad play calling in the red zone. So maybe he's figured it out. Just give the ball to Matt Ryan and clear a path.
Yeah, just rely on his running skills. some Cam, channeling some Cam in him.
Yeah, some inner Cam Newton.
Yeah. No, and that's something that, you know, I mean, we know that Atlanta has never really had, I guess, like, one of the more stout defenses, but, you know, losing those 2 guys is super tough. It's just going to even amplify the shootouts that they already seem to have all the time. But the good thing and something that plays in their favor is that, you know, they've got that 2-pronged running back set that, you know, even if Freeman goes down, you've got Coleman, who obviously can pick up the torch and run with it, you know, pun totally intended. So, yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of their offense, obviously, and they're going to need to rely on it to put up numbers, you know, because they're going to get scored on.
Absolutely. And Tevin Coleman led the team in rushing, 107 yards in the game. And the Falcons could use more out of rookie Calvin Ridley. He 4 catches for 64 yards in his first career NFL touchdown. He was a beast in college, so I'd like to see that translate to the pro game.
Yeah, you know, just like Julio. I think Julio was also in Alabama, so they both went to the same college. But, yeah, he's a speedster. He's tricky. I think they can benefit from him a lot. It's just, you know, I think for fantasy owners, I don't know if you can rely on Calvin Ridley because Matt Ryan likes to spread the ball so much. Sometimes Julio will get all the catches but won't get a touchdown because Matt Ryan would throw to the most random, you know.
Yeah. He gets down there and likes to throw it to Austin Hooper and those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a new, like, the only guys who have these random players are probably like, 16 or 18 team fantasy leagues, so I don't.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Chargers at Bills. A barn burner? Not really. Chargers go into Orchard Park and take care of the Bills 31-20. The game was much more lopsided than the score indicates. Phillip Rivers throws 23 of 27, 256 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Bills give their rookie quarterback Josh Allen his first NFL start. 18 for 33, 245 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. Gaetan, the Bills just look like a really bad team this year. So kudos for the Chargers of taking care of business, but I'm not expecting much out of Buffalo.
Man, poor Buffalo. I don't know what's the coach name, McDermott?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I feel bad for him. He has 2 really, really bad quarterbacks. Josh Allen's a rookie, so maybe he gets like a rookie excuse, but man, he's awful. Like, he's got a strong arm, but he can't connect. He misses easy throws. And it's just bad overall. And I think the storyline this past weekend was Vontae Davis, who just retired at halftime. Now, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange to me. I've never thought of, you know, a game where like a player just quits at halftime and walks away. Maybe it's happened but I was a bit surprised for that about that. But it's just kind of like maybe tells it all. He saw that the team is so bad, and he decided, you know what, maybe I should just walk away. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean, it's not the right way to do it. The team, I think that he was frustrated. He was down. Bills were down 28-6 at halftime. I think that he was holding out hope that maybe Josh Allen would be good, and he wasn't in the first half or in that game. So Vontae Davis gets to halftime, and he's like, what am I doing on this team? We're not going anywhere. Why am I here? So it was strange to see him retire at halftime. I mean, he's a 10-year vet, recorded 409 tackles, 22 picks, 106 passes defense in his career. His older brother, Vernon Davis, congrats Vontae on an excellent NFL career. But Bills linebacker Lorenzo Alexander was not as thrilled by the decision. Says, quote, Vontae quit on us in the middle of a game. Never seen it, ever. Not at Pop Warner, high school, college, or the pros, end quote. Tom, what do you think? I mean, it's not really a recipe for success for Buffalo to make the playoffs last year for the first time in years and then get rid of, like, all their best players, including their quarterback. They kind of got to expect this. It's going to be a tough year for Buffalo.
Absolutely. Talk about pouring salt in the wound. I mean, I can totally imagine what they're feeling. I mean, as a Bills fan, a perennial loser, just like the Lions over the last, whatever seasons, and then you make the playoffs and you've got so much hope, and LaShawn McCoy is running over everybody, and then you step into this season and you go 0-2, and yes, they've got a lot of moving parts that aren't there from last season, but really they were supposed to hang their hat still on LaShawn McCoy and that running game and that stout offensive line, and then what they've been known for defense as well. But when you're only getting I think over the 2 games LaShawn McCoy less than 4 yards a carry, and it's not going to go up. I mean, he's even with the workload, I mean, it's not going up. He's getting crushed, and they don't have anything to go to in the air. So, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy's got to be in that same boat. I'm surprised he didn't retire at halftime, too.
For real.
He picked up a pretty nasty injury.
Shady did?
Yeah, shot to the ribs or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. And, that happened because, like, they stocked the box. They knew they were going to run, and then, they gave it to him. Next thing you know, a lineman falls on his rib, and he's out for the game. So,
yeah,
I don't know how better they can be moving forward. So,
yeah, I think they got to look to the draft already.
Yeah, not too many bright spots.
Yeah, and well, I'm sure the coach will probably get fired this year, and there'll be a whole new regime there in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing in this game, like you said, was, I mean, the Chargers needed to put this one away, and they did so, quite well. And Gordon had he had 3 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, they looked good. They were supposed to, and they did. So I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yep, took care of business. Let's get to a better game here. Let's talk about one of my favorite games of the weekend. Vikings at Packers was a hell of a game.
You had to. You had to do that.
It was they tie 29-29. Hard to see that one coming. They had opportunity after opportunity to put this game away. Both teams did. The Vikings' furious comeback attempt in the fourth quarter falls short when the rookie kicker misses both field goals in overtime. Aaron Rodgers was typical self, 30 for 42, 281 yards and a touchdown. Cousins throws 35 of 48, 425 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to lead the comeback, including the game-winning touchdown drive and 2-point conversion with 30 seconds left in the game. Gaetan, even though the Vikings had this tremendous comeback, you had to think the Packers were going to pull it off there at the end of regulation. Crosby was 5 for 5 on kicks going into that, and ended up missing a potential game winner there.
I don't even know where to begin with this. There's so many different storylines, and yeah, I mean, they had a chance. Crosby normally is a clutch kicker.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And it was perfect weather. I mean, you don't get much better weather than that throughout the rest of the season. I mean, it was primed and ready for him. He's money.
Yeah, and he makes the first one. He gets iced.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Calls a timeout and ices him, and I'm thinking, okay, probably shouldn't have kicked that one. I wish he missed the first one. And I'm pretty confident. It was what, like, was it a 40?
I think it was. I want to say 52.
Oh, it was 52.
Yeah,
okay, maybe a little further out, but still, there was no wind. It was pretty, it was perfect weather. I was surprised he missed. I thought he was going to win that one. But everything comes down to the defense. I think, again, I still don't trust that defense. I know it's very young, but, I mean, to allow the Vikings to come back in that way and allow Kirk Cousins to just pretty much run over us, I still think the defense is like, I don't know, Swiss cheese or something. It was just bad. It was awful. But...
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like the Packers have some decent pass rushers and they got some decent linebackers. The problem, I mean, it sucks they lost Jake Ryan for the year in the offseason.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. And then what hurts is they're really young in their secondary. And when you saw Kirk Cousins on the game-winning touchdown play, I mean, that pass could have been intercepted. It dropped right in between two Packers, right in Thielen's lap.
Yeah, don't make me relive those moments. I've blocked those out of my mind and looking forward to the next game. But yeah, I mean, that was an unbelievable throw, unbelievable catch. He caught it and dove into the end zone. And, it stings a little bit. But, honestly, the Vikings probably should have won that in overtime. That rookie kicker, I don't even know if he's on the team. I'm sure he got released.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. First of all, Tom, did you watch this game? What do you think? I mean, me and you being Bears and Lions fans, it's nice to watch a game like that.
Yeah, you can't usually, win when you have these two playing, but in this case you can. I mean, I thought we were watching American football, but apparently we were watching European football because we got a tie. And two of them in the first couple weeks here, so how about that?
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. I actually rewatched most of it because I was out in San Francisco for the Lions San Francisco game.
Okay.
Rewatched most of it, and what a great game. I mean, it's the way that you want it to be. Both quarterbacks looked great. Both defenses got a couple of pieces of each of them. I was, I guess, not surprised, but Rodgers looked good. His arm looked strong. Looked like he was able to, plant and throw really well. I would like to see, I mean, obviously I'd love to see the Packers lose every game, but I'd love to see Aaron Rodgers, use Jimmy G more. I feel like Jimmy G, especially after his lost kind of period this last season, this is really a great spot for him, and I think that it's super valuable for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So if they can utilize him to kind of work those under routes in the middle of the field and be able to break open some stuff down the field as well as help the running game, they're going to be hard to beat. I know that Aaron Rodgers is still nursing a little bit of that knee issue, but I mean, if he can stay healthy, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and a couple points on this game. This offseason, they changed the overtime rules. They shortened it by 5 minutes. It used to be 15-minute overtimes. Now they're 10-minute. And that could be part of the reason that we have two ties this early on in the year. Another thing, the Vikings kicker Daniel Carlson, I was a fan of him coming out of Auburn. I watched him in college, and he was pretty good in college. but he hasn't done anything for Minnesota. He was 0 for 3 on field goals in this game, and he was cut on Monday, released. Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer was asked about it, and his response was, "Did you see the game? Easy decision." So that's pretty crazy. And the Vikings did replace him with veteran kicker Dan Bailey, who is the second most accurate kicker in NFL history at 88%.
That's right, old Cowboy, right?
Yep. So a good get for them.
Yeah, and something else, and you might have been bringing this up soon, but, one of the big things talking about, rules and changes and everything, I mean, we got to talk about Clay Matthews. I mean, that ends the game right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a total game changer, and, I mean, that's tough because that one exactly changed the game right there.
Yeah.
I think it's real hard. I think the rule now is you cannot land and drive the quarterback to the ground or land on top of the quarterback. And every time I watch that Clay Matthews play, it looks to me that, yes, he does take the quarterback down, but I think he comes more on his side. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's very tricky because personally I thought, game's over, but then, we get penalized. And that extends the play down the stretch, and then they're able to drive down the score. So I don't know at what point they're going to rectify that. I know in the preseason they had called I think the illegal hit, like helmet or shoulder helmet. I mean, it was called so many times, but I read somewhere that they were experimenting, but it's no longer like that. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward. Like, I don't know how these defenders are going to have to take down quarterbacks. Because what if you come across a guy like Big Ben? He's very big, and what do? Do you just kind of throw your hands in the air and hope that he throws the ball into your hands? I'm not sure. It's going to be hard, especially when you come against those elite quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Drew Brees. How do you defend against them? So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm gonna rant a little bit here. I hate the new rule changes. I just don't understand it. Like, for instance, the Clay Matthews play, it was a bad call, and if you want to make that call in the first quarter, I'm all for it. But do not make that call. Do not throw that flag in the fourth quarter with the game on the line when you're deciding the outcome of a game by throwing a flag. And I hate that. Let the players figure it out. If you want to make those calls in the first half, go for it. But when the game's on the line, let the players play. Let them figure it out. This new rule, this penalty that Clay Matthews got called on, is just a complete overreaction to last year's Anthony Barr hit on Aaron Rodgers that took him out for the year. And I agree.
Exactly.
You don't want to see the quarterbacks getting taken out for the year. But at the end of the day, football is football, and injuries happen, and you can't start, like, all that is a tackle. That's all that is. Maybe he drives him a little bit, but I've seen way worse. Tom, I'm sure you remember this, and Ndamukong Suh sacking Jay Cutler and leg whip tackling him, and he came down right on his shoulder. No flag there. So why all of a sudden are we overreacting? Another problem is if that helmet rule was still being called the way it was in preseason, I would be losing my mind because that is also an overreaction to the Ryan Shazier injury last year where he ducked his head and got hurt on it. And it's like I get it. These are scary injuries. You can't have them. But football's football, and there's only so much you can do. And I think maybe at the end of the day, we have players sign waivers and maybe pay them more. I don't know. But we got to figure it out because at this point, we're just ruining the game. I mean, Gaetan, like, in your situation, I would be so mad if that was called on a bear because that's game-changing flag.
Yeah, and I think just going back a little bit, I was watching some of the highlights of the Bills versus Chargers, and there was a Bill player on a punt return where the refs had to determine whether it was a touchback or a safety.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys, I think his last name is Murphy, as he was being tackled, his helmet comes off, and a Charger charges him and hits him head on the head.
Wow.
He's gushing with blood. The refs don't even address that. They're much more worried about the call that, they're discussing whether it's a safety or a touchback.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't understand because that's a helmet to helmet, and the player, Murphy, has no protection. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe they need more refs out there to verify some of these calls, but I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs with these calls, the roughing the passer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that it's really stupid. I agree with what you were saying, Alex, and what you were saying, Gaetan. Something that, first of all, it infuriates me. If it ever happened to someone on the Lions, I'd be ranting everywhere.
Yeah.
But, something that I know it's not on the books, but I know that people have thrown it around, especially the last couple of seasons because of all these crazy new rules that they've come up with, is, why can't you challenge a penalty like that?
Yeah.
I would say that if you could, a penalty like that, you don't have to do an obligatory review under 2 minutes because that would take up time, but it wouldn't add any more time if it was a coach's challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get to, delegate and decide on which ones that they want to choose to challenge, why not? Those things are just as clear and even more clear to see the nuance of a hit when it's under a microscope like that, just as much as, a play where you're watching the foot on the goal line or something like that. I think that should be implemented, but that's me.
I agree 100%, and I think part of the problem is the NFL doesn't really know what they're calling either. They've got these new rules. They've got so many new rules in their head that they're trying to enforce that they don't even know half their rules that they're calling, and they don't know what's legit or not. We go into off season. We finally figure out what's a catch and what's not, and then now we got this other stuff. So I agree with you. I think it'd be a very smart decision to make those calls reviewable, but we'll see if they ever do it. Let's. Go ahead.
They have to.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they have to because these are huge calls. It changes momentum. Even if it takes an extra 30 seconds, or maybe they have someone upstairs there in the booth review room, just go over the call instantly, or at least, that would make a big difference because to just do it on the fly and just, abandon it hurts one of the teams. So,
yeah. Yeah, we'll see what they do going forward. Hopefully it gets fixed. Let's go to Texans at Titans. The Titans get the win at home, 20-17. Marcus Mariota was out of this game with an injured elbow, so Blaine Gabbert starts and goes 13-20, 117 yards and a touchdown. Usually I say if Blaine Gabbert starts, go ahead and chalk up an L, but not in this one. My boy Deshaun Watson gets beat on the road. Watson goes 22 of 32, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Tom, were you surprised by the Titans getting this win with Gabbert?
Very surprised. I don't know any other way to put it. Very surprised. I am no fan of Gabbert, and I would have easily put money on that. But hey, props to him, man. I mean, hey, 13 of 20, not a ton of yards, but a good touchdown. And hey, and props to them. Was that a fake punt in the first drive or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey man, why not? You're the Titans. You might as well try something crazy.
Yeah, they got all-pro safety Kevin Byard out here throwing touchdown passes.
Sure, why not? Nice little lefty hook there and look good.
Yeah, he's probably got better form than Gabbert.
Yeah, right.
Gaetan, what do you think of this game? Do you think Deshaun Watson, he seems to be struggling a little bit this second year? Maybe it's because of the rehab coming off the injury. Have you seen Watson's game drop a little bit?
I still think he's accurate, right? He makes good throws. His progressions are good. He extends plays. I don't know. I was really surprised that they've lost 2 games, especially this game.
Yeah.
With Florida not playing and being injured. I don't know. I don't know if part of the blame kind of goes on the coach with some of the play calling, but I didn't catch this game. I only watched some of the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
For fantasy purposes. I was way too focused on the Packers game. But I'm a bit surprised. I thought he'd be firing from last season.
Yeah.
And it looks like he is, but they're still not winning. So, I looked at his numbers. 310 yards is a lot of yardage. He's spreading the ball, threw the ball to more than 6 receivers. But he did have some hiccups. He threw an interceptions, had a couple fumbles, although he recovered it. But I didn't see the game entirely to be able to tell how the defense played or how some of the play calling went. So
yeah, and I think it's just a slow start. I'm still a believer in Deshaun Watson. Still a believer in the Texans. They got too much talent not to be a good team. So an 0-2 start, they can easily get over that. Week 3, they play at home against the 0-2 Giants. So there's an opportunity to get a win. And we'll see what they do going forward. Let's go to Browns at Saints, where the Saints find a way to win.
Go Browns!
The Saints should have lost this like a million different ways. They find a way. Drew Brees goes 28 of 35, 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Browns start Tyrod Taylor. He's 22 of 30, 246 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And it really came down to the Browns' special teams, or at least their kicking game. Kicker Zane Gonzalez struggles, going 2 of 4 on field goals and 0 of 2 on extra points. The extra point, it would have given him a lead with about a minute to go, and he missed that. And then the field goal, as time expires, would have tied the game, and he missed that. Zane Gonzalez has since been replaced. He was released on Monday. And undrafted kicker, what is his name? Greg Joseph has been signed by the Browns. Tom, were you surprised by the Browns and Saints? Browns just continue to create new ways to lose games.
Well, first of all, that's probably the most undrafted name ever, Greg Joseph. That's a good one. That he will definitely not be remembered. But who knows? Maybe he'll have a chance here. It's the Browns, but I gotta say, going through these first 2 games, if I was a Browns fan, not having much hope before, I gotta say these games are not that bad. They're close. The Browns had the lead with 5 minutes left in the 4th.
Yeah.
And really, the question we should be having is the Browns D that bad? And I would say, no, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
They had 2 fumbles on the Saints. I know a lot of it was Brees' throwing accuracy. He had a couple over and a couple under thrown in this game. But honestly, we knew the Saints would win this. They're at home. They're the Saints. They're going to win it. But if I am the Browns and Browns fan, something to hang my hat on. It looks better than before, and some hope.
I agree with you, and they brought in a lot of free agents and a lot of weapons this year, so they should be a better team. I'm going to say this, though. This isn't a good look for... I'll go with you, Gaetan. What do you think? Do the Browns look better from what you've seen, or is this just typical Cleveland football?
No, they're better. Defensively, they're better. I think Myles Garrett is a beast, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, with Landry, they have a ton of running backs also. They're good. I think they're good. I think they just need to put it together. I'm almost inclined to say it's time to throw Mr. Mayfield in there and let him spread the football. Tyrod, I have nothing against Tyrod. I think he's good, but I think Mayfield brings a lot of firepower and a lot of energy, and I think that's probably what they will need. They can use to feed off on. So they're good. They're good though. They should have won this game. Even last game against Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
Browns should be 2-0 right now.
Yep.
So
I agree with you on that point, Gaetan. About Mayfield, and to your point, Alex, that is a very Brownsy move, and I think it's stupid of them to have Tyrod Taylor. I mean, I get it; it's Tyrod Taylor. He's been in the league for a little bit, and he's someone that people know, and he can put together this offense. But the fact of the matter is, would either of you trust Tyrod Taylor on any team to take them, into a postseason or something like that? And I would argue no. Even not seeing much of Baker Mayfield, I think it's time.
I would say this. I mean, to your point, Tyrod Taylor made the playoffs last year with the Bills. But I would say this. Hugh Jackson is playing Tyrod Taylor because he believes that's the best chance to win. He's putting the veteran in there that's got more snaps, more experience, and he's close. I mean, the Browns could be 2-0 right now. So that's what Hugh Jackson's thinking as head coach. I mean, you look at it, his record, since he took over as the Browns head coach, Hugh Jackson's win-loss record is 1-32-1. And then I'm going to say this. I was a Hugh Jackson fan before, but this is a little bit anti-Hugh Jackson. The kicker that blew those kicks, turns out he had a groin injury. They asked Hugh Jackson about it after the game, and he said, quote, "I was not told Zane was hurt. That's news to me," end quote. So if you're the head coach of an organization and you don't know who's hurt and who's not, there's some major issues there.
That's not a good look.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And the fact that you would acknowledge that to the media, like, even if he's hurt, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I knew that." Like, the fact that you say,
"Yeah, put him in anyway."
Yeah, but the fact that you say "I didn't know" is really damning and really does not look good for the Browns, and it doesn't look good for Hugh Jackson. And
do you think Hugh Jackson makes it out this season?
I do not. I think he needs 5 to 6 wins to save his job, and I don't think they're coming. And
I think Todd Haley is gonna take over.
That'd be interesting.
Haley is a very aggressive coach. He doesn't take BS.
Yeah.
Jackson is kind of like a father figure. He likes to bring people along the way slowly. He's very patient, and the Browns general manager, I think his name is Dorsey. I think he's been very, very patient. With Hugh Jackson. I mean, I don't know anyone who goes 1-31-1. Still,
yeah.
But I still think they need to throw Baker Mayfield in there. I know he's a rookie, and they don't want to just rush him, but the guy plays with energy. I mean, I watch him play at Oklahoma. He's short, but he can throw the ball, and he's very pumped up, very fired, which is, I think, what you need, to wake up guys up and rejuvenate some of the players. So
absolutely,
we'll see. It sucks that having to do this on Tyrod, but they should be 2-0. They're not. It is now, so I think they have to. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe 2 more weeks. So
I would agree with you that I think that Baker Mayfield has the type of personality and leadership that players could rally around. Like, if he comes in and has success, he's the type of quarterback that likes to talk trash, that likes to be fired up, that likes to pump his fist and celebrate when they win. And so if you get a guy like him in there and have success, that could turn the team around pretty quick and give them a whole new outlook. Right now, Tyrod's just the safe bet, and that's what Hugh's going with. So
true, and you got to think, like you were saying, in order for him to keep his job, you might need to hit that 5-6 win or whatever. Looking into the schedule here, nothing is easy for the Browns, but they do have the Jets, Raiders, and Ravens coming up next. Which if they could pull off 2 of those, it's a different story. If they could be 2-2,
Absolutely.
I don't see it. I think the Jets is the best shot.
Yeah.
I don't see, I mean, if they beat Oakland, John Gruden's going to get fired. But I don't see them beating the Chargers. So, I mean, you're right, man. It's a rough schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I predicted them to go 3-13, which is still an improvement. So we'll see what they do.
I'll take the under.
Dolphins at Jets. We'll run through this one quickly. Dolphins jump out to an early 20-0 lead and hang on to win. I believe it was 20. I think it was 20-12 or something like that. The Jets. Sam Darnold didn't look quite as good in this game. A couple interceptions as he did against Detroit. Dolphins seem to be doing pretty well. Their defense is better than everyone thought. Kenyon Drake is doing a good job at running back. So Dolphins improved to 2-0. Jets 1-1. Tom, what did you think? You guys saw Darnold last week, Lions-Jets. What did you think going up against Darnold? Did he look really good, or was it just kind of sloppy football?
At first, I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
Until I watched week 2 of the Lions, and then I realized that Darnold did play well and he picked himself up, but he had a pretty easy backfield and pretty easy secondary to go through with the Lions. So it's got to be tough for him and for Jets fans because they totally obliterated the Lions and he looked really good. And I do believe that he is going to be good, and I think that he's got great composure. You can tell by the way that he handles himself, in interviews as well as on the field, especially after that first interception. What a blow, interception, pick 6 on your first play ever.
Yeah.
So he's going to be fine. I think he looks good, but I don't think he maybe is as explosive as what everybody thought. That Lions game was a kind of a routing, and now we know that the Lions are going to have some serious issues back there. So, yeah.
Yeah, Gaetan, what do you think? The Jets, right off the bat after drafting him, the team CEO was calling him the next Joe Namath, and in the New York paper it said Jetsaya, like he's the savior. What do you think? Do you think Darnold has those kind of qualities, or do you think it might be a rougher time for the Jets going forward than they might think?
I think his ceiling is very high.
Yeah.
He's very young, which I think is a big plus for him. I mean, despite the fact that he didn't play all that well, it's interesting. Like, I always judge young quarterbacks by, I want to say efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, you take away those 2 interceptions, I thought he was fine. I thought he looked great. I think he still missed some throws, but you expect that from a rookie quarterback. But I don't know if it's Joe Namath. All I know about Namath is some of the records and big games he had. I was too young. I don't even think I was born to see Joe Namath play.
Yeah.
But I think he's the next big thing for them, and they're excited about it. I think he's a generation. I don't want to say generation quarterback, but I think he's a quarterback who will be in the Jets for about 10 years. So. We'll see. I like him, honestly. I think he reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre. I know some of my friends don't like it when I say that, but honestly, I do see some longevity in him. He's very strong. He's got a strong arm. He's very well built. I like him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. And more importantly, he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. I would think the one concern about Baker Mayfield would be, maybe some off the field stuff, and I think that's the last thing you'd have to worry about with Darnold. So it could be the safer of the picks. So we'll see how he does going forward.
And he's in a big market. New York media is crazy.
Yeah.
So he seems like the type of guy who can withstand that pressure. So
definitely. Let's go to Chiefs at Steelers. Was a real good game. The Chiefs jumped out to a